On this instalment of Creative Cabin Fever, I travel to Cork to
Well,
find.
hey, the Rebel County.
I know, you guys are taking everything. It's amazing. So I'm discovering another hidden gem from the Rebel County, and we're going to have a great conversation because tomorrow Meghan releases a new track called Neat Whiskey, and or Whiskey Neat. I'm super excited to actually talk to you about that track and for everyone to get to know you better because it's really rare that I get someone the day before a release. So that's pretty cool. But let's start the interview off, right? So your name is Meghan Ali and you're from Cork. Welcome on Creative Cabin Fever. How are you
Thank
this
you
morning?
so much for having me on. Because as you said, it's great to actually be talking to you the day before I'm going to release my song. So yeah, I'll be all hyped up now for tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll be wishing tomorrow was now with you by the end of this interview.
it's super exciting, and obviously I'm lucky enough to have been able to digest the track fully. I think I've listened to it 15 times so far this morning, and when it was sent on to me first, I think I listened to it 7 times just to make sure I wanted to do the
Savage.
interview. So
My job here is done, you know. If you
yeah.
wanted to listen to it more than once, I'm like, I might as well just finish this interview and be I am successful.
So yeah, I mean, at least I'll have your streams up in no time. But I'm
Jeez, my
really
head is going to get so big that I won't fit out through my bedroom after this. Like, you do realize that now, Rebecca?
forget about tomorrow completely, Megan. Just stay at home, like.
Plan, absolute plan.
Do you know what? We're going to skip ahead to the questions and just talk about the track straight away. So
Okay.
I said to you at the start of this, we will probably just try something new out on my show because I've never done this before, but we have the
Mhm.
occasion here to give all of my listeners, watchers, and everyone on your side a sneak preview to the track before it comes out. Now, before we do that, I'd like to talk to you about how I feel about your track.
Okay.
So, like, you're kind of getting a review, I guess we could put it that way. Live
I
on a
actually love to
show.
hear other people's opinion of the song and their interpretation of it. Because I kind of, people react to music in different ways, or the story might come across them in a different way. So it always intrigues me to see other people's perception of the song.
Wonderful, and I love that about music, and I also hate that about music. It must be super difficult as an artist to release a body of work that you've put so much into, and for someone to completely misconstrue it. Like,
Yeah. You kind of get used to it though. I think that's art in general. It's always going to be subjective. So I think as an artist, you kind of have to go with the flow on that one.
agreed. Once it's out there, it's anyone's. It's no longer just
Definitely.
yours.
But it's actually a good thing as well because I think the song can come alive through many different mediums or many different stories because of that as well. So it has its advantages as well.
Absolutely. So let's start off with your voice. My God, is it haunting? Like, that's just incredibly powerful. And then the melody and everything about it makes it so catchy. But what grabs me the most are the lyrics and the impactful message. So, like, a lot of us do tend to drown out our demons instead of facing them head on. And we constantly borrow happiness from tomorrow as we keep putting off the inevitable. And that's what I got from
Yeah.
this song. It's really resonant and impactful, but also, well, grabbing you into a catchy way that you'll continue singing it. You know what I mean? You've passed my grey whistle test. You know,
It's
like,
kind of, I like the way I said it. I always wanted to write a song like, that song I Don't Like Mondays, where it's really, really dark, but you're just singing along to the song and you don't even realize the story behind it. And then until you sit down and you look at the lyrics and you're like, wow, and it blows you away at like how dark it is. I think Whiskey Need is kind of like, because myself and my brother actually wrote this. Um, so I remember when we were writing it, we were like, oh, I think we'd like the storyline to be like this. And before we knew it, we were like, Jesus, this is so heavy, but you wouldn't know it with the upbeat tune.
and that's exactly it. Like, so everyone listens to music differently, right? Some people will hear just the melody, some people will be dragged in by your haunting voice, as I said. Other people, like me, will be completely taken in by the poetry and motion within the song and the melody. So, like, it's mad. Like, I have so many conversations about the different ways music reverberates in your body or how different people, like, get different things from music. It's fascinating, really.
Oh, I think that's what I love. Like it's like another language really, but I think one that everyone can speak, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. So I guess without further ado, drum roll, please. Let's try on something brand new. Everybody, here's a sneak peek to Whiskey Neat. I'm not going to play the whole track because I want you tomorrow morning to wake up so energized by what's about to come that you give this girl her full streaming delights.
Oh, it'll be appreciated. But
2 a.m. and I just can't sleep. Drinking whiskey neat. Pour myself another drink. Raise a glass to an empty seat. Every taste is a tease. Living in ecstasy. I don't even know what day it is.
you're gonna have to see the
I
chorus
just
there.
can't let it go. Let it go. I can't let it go. Let it go. I can't let it go. I just can't let it go. Let it go. I can't let it go. Let it go. I can't let it go.
And there we are, a sneak peek on the show, and you
And
also
you
got
knew the
someone.
chorus as well, like, so it's the 8th time being played and you had the chorus down, so happy days.
Look, you had something very unusual happen in your interview. I actually sang. That is not something that ever happens, but you know, you got me in the moment there, so.
I put you under pressure this time. I was
like,
like, you have to sing.
Yeah, so I sort of sing sometimes. There we are.
See, you clearly haven't woken up yet, like, so I kind of grabbed my moment while I got it and was like, oh, she's singing now anyway.
Many exclusives were had in this interview, Megan Ali. Yeah, so it is. It's really catchy. That chorus just takes you off, like, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah, what makes me laugh about the chorus is it's my brother Callan who actually is singing with it, so it's like a call and response. So the whole song is like a conversation between two people. Obviously, you have the person. For me, the song is about like the person who's the kind of going through a tough time, has the demons, and kind of the only way they can kind of escape is through alcohol. I think that was the storyline we had, and the other person is trying to help them. But you know, it's always tough in that situation because it's hard. You're dealing with two people, like you're dealing with the addict, and you're dealing with the person you know. So that chorus, I think it's just a few lines, but I think it's really strong while it's trying to communicate in that story, you know. But my brother Callan can actually sing higher than me in it. I'm like, Jesus, that fecker. He outshines me and sings higher.
why did I bring him on the track?
Why did I bring him on the track? Like, he's showing me up.
What's that like, actually collaborating with a sibling on a track?
It's actually really good because I normally, with Callan, we always kind of really do harmonies very naturally. So it's kind of always been one of those things where I never tell him what to do. He'll just automatically go there. So it's lovely, you know. It's kind of nice, just as you say, it's lovely when there's a nice organic feel to it, like, and that's kind of when I'm singing with Callan, there always is, you know. So nice old sibling harmonies for you.
Beautiful. So, like, that brings me on to one of the questions I had that was meant to run in a certain order that we decided, you know, this interview is great.
Sorry, I'm probably jumping in.
No, this is brilliant. No, this is great. This, like, I really like this because it's just completely, all the interviews are so different, Megan. Every single one is different, so it's great. How did you find your craft? So obviously you and your brother are quite musical. So how does that start? Where does that come from?
Well, it was really funny because in my family, there's 3 boys, 2 girls, you know, so big enough family. But none of us were, well, I was the only one big into music at the time. Like I was nearly laughed at. I was like the postman's child, you know. Like, where did they get this one from? But then I think after a while, like my mom and my brother Aaron are big into writing. So they, whether it be poetry or stories or things like that. So I think that's where the creativity comes into play. And I've always kind of been very musical orientated. And I think I picked up the guitar and started singing. And then I suppose my brother Callan kind of hopped on the bandwagon with me, and I started singing from there on as well. And my brother Aaron, sometimes, like, let's say I might have writer's block, and I'd be like, look, I can't finish this song, and there's obviously a reason for that, and I need someone else to come in and write the story and give me their view on this story, kind of a thing, like, you know. So it's like a shared experience. So then between Aaron writing the song with me, my older brother, and then Callan singing it with me, it was actually, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Like,
It's nice to be able to bounce off different people, like, you know. And it's especially like when we wrote the song, we planned, like, it was, we were going to have to, like, a kind of a session, like a few drinks later on that night, you know. And I had that melody going in my head, and I had the guitar there, and I had that chorus, and I ironically couldn't let it go. So and then I showed Aaron and Callan. I was like, 'cause, I basically forced Callan to sing the call and response, like he was not going to get away with it, but he took to it automatically. He was like, that's really catchy. And then Aaron was like, okay, perfect the session. We are writing this. So ended up we ended up just being like, no, we are going to get this done today, and by God, did we.
wow, I love that. I love that when sometimes well, actually not sometimes, all of the time when the creativity takes over, it takes over.
Yeah, it was very like impromptu.
Wow. That
So
is such.
I do really like Whiskey Neat because of that. Like, it was just the how the song came about. You just, I suppose, you couldn't write it, like, you know. You think it would just be well thought out, there'd be a storyline and things like that, but it was kind of like, these are the characters, this is a storyline, and we kind of matched all that, kind of, as you know, writing, kind of brainstorming and trying to come up with poet ways of kind of trying to say something. So
Yeah.
it's lovely.
That's an incredible story, and it's great to get it out there with a preview of what people have to expect tomorrow, and then in years to come, you know, wherever you are in the progression of your journey, like, people can look back on this interview and be like, that's how she wrote that song.
Yeah.
I love that. I really, really love that. So, one of the things I like to ask people is how lockdown itself has affected their creativity directly. Was this written during lockdown, or was it written beforehand, or?
So, about 4 years ago, I kind of decided that I was going to work a 9 to 5 job as an engineer, because what I always wanted to do was create an album. And for me, I wasn't quite ready to kind of do the live gigs or kind of be in the spotlight. I was very much kind of like kind of a writer, you know. I kind of love to do my own thing, be in the recording studio, very much kind of in the background, you know. Um, so I think what I did was, for those 4 years, I wrote the songs, and I always wanted to create the album. So the album is officially recorded, written, ready to go, and hopefully be released this year. It's called Judgment Day. So I think COVID has been great for me because, again, networking with different artists. Like, I know we don't have the live gigs, but I think musicians in general have been just so creative with how they're sharing their music on platforms, like social media, like your one here, like, you know. And I think all that helps.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's this moment in time is what you make of it. Like,
Yeah,
and as respectful as I am, is that there are people out there who are not doing as well. It is honestly,
yeah.
you know, what we make of it.
Obviously, the face to face is so much nicer. Going into a room, listening to music, you know, that intimate setup, like, you can't beat that. And I'm not saying that this is better by all means, but I'm just saying, like, you just, you know, you just get on with things. And sometimes if you miss something so much, you'll always come up with an alternative. And I think that's what people are doing, you know.
Yeah, I was publicly speaking about my dreams the last while.
Yeah.
My dreams the last while are about hugging people, organizing gigs, barbecues. They're not like normal dreams. It's like going to gigs, like these things that I took for granted for a very long time. Now I wake up, like, I remember 3 weeks ago I woke up after organizing a gig in my dreams, and I was actually in tears, like floods of tears. Like, it's just
But
like,
it just goes to show, like, how much that I think we all took, especially live music, for granted, or just going up, meeting with our friends, all those things. And I feel like, because we took it for granted, that when we go back, I think there'll be a new respect for musicians, because, you know, sometimes there are gigs you do and you are background noise, you know, because that's the way it is. But I think now, because of the lack of music, that people will definitely have more respect for musicians.
Well, music has been such a great escape for everyone as well. A lot of people are rediscovering music for the first time, as I like to call it, where you're like sinking yourself in your old favorites and it feels like you're hearing them for the first time.
Yeah.
Have you had any experiences with that yourself?
I think, you know what, it was lovely because, especially with some of my friends, they've always been so busy, with going from one gig to another, like they'd be full-time musicians. And I guess it's kind of just being able to, I don't know, hop on a call with them or like do a jamming session because they have that extra bit of time. We kind of, you know, you'd be kind of jamming a song, and next thing it might create into something new, like, you know. So it's kind of like you, as you say, the song's kind of coming to life again and again. So you're just like, oh, this is mad.
Yeah, it's incredible. A lot of people have been using this time to like yourself, I suppose, polish their craft and find out how to further what they already had. Like it's
Yeah,
brilliant to see.
we're learning eventually.
Look, there's a lot to learn. I'm
There
finding out
is,
every
jeez.
day how much more I need to know. It's great crack.
That's the thing. I think you always have to keep learning, you know, especially I think even with platforms like this, like even just trying to be able to log in, like some people might have been able to do that or like edit or anything. And like, you know, it's amazing, like when you've no choice to do something that you'll actually be like, you'd be amazed at what you can actually do.
Yeah, like if you ever get a chance, look back on my interview history. Go to the very first or second video. Go to the first one was done over Skype, so it's really choppy. The second one was done in basic darkness in a tent in my sitting room, right? I had no idea what I was starting here, and now I find myself in a situation where I have production values and a microphone.
You have a proper setup here. Like I'm using my old headset phone here, and I was like, I don't look like the musician at all here. Like I might as well be interviewing you here. You look a lot cooler than me right now with your setup.
But yeah, it's been a really funny journey. So yeah, everyone has to start off somewhere, and we never know where things are going to lead. Like we just
No, you need to educate me on how to get that nice little setup you have there.
yeah.
I'll get the notebook there and then
I'll send you a Google Doc with all my links. So we were talking briefly about gigs and how much you miss them. So I love to go down memory lane with people. I'd love to hear about some of your best gig experiences, some of your worst gig experiences if you want. I just want to talk about gigs. Tell me about those things. I really miss them.
I always loved going to gigs either in call-ins or to bars. I'm not biased being from Cork at all, am I? But I just loved those intimate setups, you know, and especially it gives a platform to local musicians, you know, and I find that for me it was because I was a fly on the wall, and that music was so accessible to me and I was surrounded by it. That's kind of what motivated me to be like, look, I want to do that. Like, you know, every time I come back from a gig, I just felt you know, I really wanted to pick up the guitar and sing because it, you know, it just, you just come back inspired after gigs, you know. Like I think one of my favorite ones was either going to see Claire Sands in Collins or going to see Tukin, Anna Mitchell, even Nikki Griffin. They were just fabulous gigs, you know, and it kind of was nice because I knew them as well.
Yeah, Tucan are a wonderful band. I know Connor quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
My roommates Emily and Rebecca actually were part of. They were kind of doing the backing vocals. I was at that Cypress Avenue gig actually, that Tucan were in, and yeah, it was fab. It really was.
Yeah, Cypress Avenue. There's a venue I adore.
I'll add that to the list too.
Thank you. Yeah, so obviously I was.
I saw the wink there.
Yeah. Go on, at the venue I work in sometimes there.
No, that's another. It's like when you go on an interview, sometimes you have freeze. But there's actually in Cork, we're actually so lucky because there's so many like amazing live music, like pubs or bars, or, you know, we're spoiled for choice here.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy my time in Cork when I'm down there. Like it's truly a beautiful city. And
Where would your go-to place be now?
In
Pick your
Cork.
top 4, yeah.
Oh my God, no.
No.
It's not your interview. It's not what
I have to
happened.
relate then. I'll be like, yeah, I love there now as well, you know?
Well, obviously, I spend most of my time in Cypress Avenue when I was in Cork over Christmas.
You don't need to know about anything else other than
no.
Cypress Avenue.
There we are. No, there's loads of great places in Cork. Like, I'd be of the heavier variety if I were to pick gigs to go to myself. Years ago, I used to put on gigs in Crane Lane as well. I have a huge respect.
I love Crane Lane. Yeah, that's another.
And Fred Zeppelin's is, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's too many venues in Cork.
And it's so funny because they all have different atmospheres in them. Like, so you could like walk into, let's say, you could go down one street, like, and you could go into one pub and then you go into another, and it's like the atmosphere changes. But that's kind of what's great about it. I think that's why the music is fantastic, because I suppose the music creates that atmosphere, and it's the people creating that music kind of giving off that energy is what kind of makes the different venues so interesting, you know?
Yeah, I've never been to a gig in the Opera House, for instance. I've just never had the opportunity to, but I hear great things about that as well. So
yeah, the Opera House is lovely. It really is. The sound quality and everything is fab. I think for me, I do love the smaller little spaces. You know, I don't know. I think it's just because that's where I've always seen live music.
Yeah.
Now maybe after COVID, now that might change my mind, and I couldn't care less. I'll just be so happy just to have live music that it won't matter what space I'm in.
No, but I understand that. To my core, I'm an underground girl, so dingy dives and like really heavy punk bands that make
There
no
we go,
sense.
look.
Like, that's what I want. Like,
You all know where you're going to be after COVID anyway.
yeah.
I'll see you there.
Yeah. I'm just worried. Do you know what? This is the funniest thing I'm probably going to say in this interview. I'm just worried now that the dingy dives are going to have to be super sanitized now. So are they going to lose their sheen?
You have to go in there in a bubble.
Like, what?
And instead of the mashes, it'll just be like soccer, bubble soccer or something.
It'll have to be something. Like, I cannot wait to be in a mosh. I'm actually terrified for the other people that are going to be in the mosh with me, because I reckon I'll break a few noses. Like, and it won't even be intentional.
Oh God, what was my first gig was finished Leaving Cert, and we booked Red Hot Chili Peppers in Crow Park up in Dublin. They were playing. And I swear to God, like, you know, I thought I was so mad. Me and my friend Claire into the mosh pit. Worst decision I ever made. I was like,
Best
I was
decision.
like, I cannot survive this. I was like, I am not as hardcore as these people. I need to up my game.
Oh yeah, it was at Slipknot January 2020, so like a while ago, because, you know, stuff stopped after a while. You know, and I was at the front, and I stumbled upon this really, really nice guy. So we were there before anyone else arrived, and then the first band goes on. It was great. And I wasn't aware that he had never been to a heavy metal gig before. So he was nice and chill, you know, the support act around, there's barely anyone on the floor, you know, everything's cool. And then he turns around to me when Slipknot are about to happen, and there's a sea of people around him. He's like, I've never been in a mosh pit before. So I had to like guide
the
him.
worst things you could ever say, because you know that like you're going in a mosh pit after you say something like that.
So I was just trying to guide him through the process. I was like, okay, Ali, what you do now is you just go with it. Not against it, just with it, and it's just going to be fine. So then you just have me mothering this adorable man that has never been in a mosh pit before.
Where were you when I was in Red Hot Chili Peppers? Nearly about to die.
I would love to mother more people through mosh pits.
That's where your next podcast is going to be, in the middle of them.
Yeah. In a sea of people trying to interview a band as I go with the flow of a mosh. With me fishnets on, you know.
Yeah. Good luck. If you can survive that and do a podcast, like, that's talent.
It seems like a challenge now, so I think I'm going to have to try that one day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you'll have to tag me in it then, for sure.
Yeah. That time Meghan Ali challenged Rebecca Cappuccini to a mosh pit podcast.
AKA rest in peace.
Yeah, we'll have we'll figure it out. Like, I'd say that the podcast itself will be quite sound fragmented from all the push and pull, but like, I'd piece it together in an editing fashion that might make it work.
You can use all those editing skills you've learned in COVID, like
Editing
myself.
skills.
A nice little remix there.
No, it actually sounds like a lot of fun. I'm just talking about pits. I'm actually excited again. You know?
You'll be going off after this podcast and turning on like Slipknot and just be like in the kitchen.
I did
with
that
2
3
cups of
weeks ago.
coffee.
I had a mosh pit in my bedroom. I actually put on all the greatest hits from my teenage years and lost myself for what was only 15 minutes because my stamina is now gone.
But look, do you know what? If you manage, you can like do a whole endurance test there. Like, that's a new fitness. Start a new fitness craze there.
I actually think that's what people should be doing. I was trying to push everyone else to have mini mosh pits in their house. Like,
You'll just set the trend there on Instagram.
just waves of change. Do you know what I mean? We can't join together.
Rebecca, I think we're coming up with gold here in this podcast.
I don't think this interview can go out to the world because people will steal our ideas, man.
Yeah, I think so.
No, this is a brilliantly fun interview. It's great crack. So, I always ask people to recommend local artists. Now, when I say local artists, as I said to everyone, we have 32 beautiful counties. Who are your top picks that I should be listening to right now, Megan?
Ooh, I love Breedine is fabulous. She just actually did Ocean of Stars is actually one of my favorite songs of hers. She's on the Tommy Tiernan show as well with her father. So it was a fantastic interview. So and she performed as well afterwards. So I love that one. I think I do like Claire Sands as well. I know she has a new album coming up soon enough. Nikki Griffin. Nikki Griffin actually does some of the backing vocals on me, but for me on my album. But she's an incredible jazz singer. Like, oh, she's just I just every time like she does backing vocals for me, I'm like, do you want to just sing my song for me? Like, you shouldn't be backing vocals. She's just incredible. And I think Jordan Run is fab as well.
Aaron would be one of my favourites too.
Yeah, they're my top local artists now at the moment.
Yeah, those are great recommendations, and I would urge everyone out there to check those out.
It's really funny because there's probably so many more that I just have totally blanked. So to everybody I do know, I do love all your music, but I just didn't have that second cup of tea.
This is a really hard thing to do. I was in an interview yesterday and I was reminiscing on Waterford Pass because that's where I'm based, and we were talking about bands from my teenage years, and he asked me who's in a band and I literally went, I could name one person, and then I was like, I think this person, like, well, I'm not utterly sure. So I get to look like an absolute tool for the rest of my days in a video that I put up yesterday.
They make great outtakes though, because everyone can relate to those moments, you know.
But it's true, I just get these brain farts. Like, my brain is all over the place, like trying to micromanage an entire, like, and then you ask me a question and I'm just like,
oh, I think that was like one of my first interviews. I think they asked like a simple question of what is your name? And it was just well, I was like, Meghan Ali McGuire. Actually no, Meghan Ali. I was like, oh, this is not gonna go well. But look, we've progressed since then.
look, and it's all about that progression. I just like it's wonderful to look back on your progress. Like, I imagine it's very similar for you, like looking back on your old tracks versus where you're at now.
As you said, like I kind of very much kind of happy to be the fly on the wall. So I think the fact that now I'm kind of pushing myself kind of suppose more into the spotlight, and especially releasing my own music and stuff. It's new territory, but it's very exciting all the same.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely terrified, but I'm buzzing too.
Fear is good. If you're not scared of launching something, you're doing it wrong. You're not putting enough into it. You have to be utterly terrified every step of your progression. If you're not, there's something wrong. No, that there is. Like, if you're doing something thinking that you're well able and that you have this covered, it's too comfortable. There is no growth in comfort.
I know, that's actually so true. I think every time I've done a gig, I've been like so nervous. But then when I'm up there, I'm totally fine. So it kind of is part of my warm up nearly.
Yeah. It's important to have the nerves, like those butterflies in your tummy, like, do you know, they're
It's
kind of
like what I'll do is I'll be terrified, but I'll have the hot water bottle so it'll keep me warm. And then I leave the hot water bottle beside the stage, and then I'll go and do the gig. Then I'll come back for the hot water bottle. Then I'll have the whiskey and coke.
You bring your own comforter with you?
I'm telling you, like
You're actually
hot
a
water
hero.
bottle. Like.
I thought I was a cozy queen, but you're after out cozying
Oh
me.
no! I'll have to have the hot water bottle. I remember last time my friends were skidding at me. You know when we could do like go away on weekend trips. We went to the Hinch and we all went surfing. But it was like March, like so it was kind of still cold. So I took the hot water bottle with me, but I was still so cold after going surfing that when we went into the restaurant, I was like, this is like, you know, the way you normally ask, oh, would you like a drink or whatever? I was like, can you please top up my hot water bottle?
That's so cute, though.
And all my friends were like so embarrassed. But then your one was like, that is the funniest thing I have seen, like working here, like since I started. So she was only laughing, but we became good buddies after that one.
I'm going to be honest.
You could relate.
Yeah, I can. I'm going to be honest. I A, understand it, and B, understand where she's coming from, because in all my years of being an artist liaison, not once has anybody asked me to refill their hot water bottle. So I look forward for a day that someone is as inventive, compassionate, and self-caring, soothing as yourself.
Let's put it this way, nobody wants to meet cold Meghan. Nobody. It's in everybody's best interest to keep me warm.
I love that story. I absolutely love that story. And I absolutely have loved every second of our conversation today. And I would urge absolutely everybody out there to listen to your single in its entirety without me butchering it with my voice.
No, it was, as I said, it was just fabulous to get that sneaky preview there now. And as well, the fact that you're able to sing along to it as well, it's just great. Like, at least there's something catchy there for you to be able to bop along to. And it's also being released on my birthday, so I've even more reason to celebrate.
Well, happy birthday. I'm really happy that I got to be the first complete stranger to sing your lyrics back to you, because I guess that's impactful as an artist who can't currently perform.
Don't worry, Rebecca, I won't ask you to sing me happy birthday. I'll leave that one off. You got away with singing Whiskey Neat.
Yes. Watch tomorrow morning. I'll send you an email with like a little edited video of me and my son singing you happy birthday or something, because I am that
like
lunatic.
The mosh pit, like you dancing away singing a different version of happy birthday.
That's wonderful. So happy birthday for tomorrow. And again, I can't urge everyone enough to listen to the track, because it's truly, really beautiful. Is there anything you'd like to add to the interview before I stop recording, Meghan?
I just want to say thanks so much to yourself for the interview. It's been fab just having the chat. I feel like it wasn't even an interview, it was just a chat, so that's a great sign. I guess to all the people listening in, thanks so much for the support and for tuning in. And if you could please follow me on all social media platforms, that would be fantastic. It just helps my music get out there that bit more. So Meghan Ali Music, MEGHAN, and then Ali ALI Music. So that'd be fab.
I always have to spell my name for people too. I feel you, sister.